Hi, I'm Haley.
Hi, I'm Jonathan.
And today we are doing the Halloween in July tag, which is just some questions about spoopy books because who doesn't want to get spoopy? So to lift our hot summer blues, we are going to do the Halloween in July tag, which I was inspired to do by the Sloth Reader, whose video I will link down below, though I do not know if I don't think they are the original person.
Yeah, I don't know. So what's the first question?
The first question is, what book gives you the creeps?
That, I think I'm going to go with Nine Fox Gambit by, I think it's Yoon-Ha Lee. But that book is just, like, it's not horror exactly, but it's got a lot of kind of unsettling things in it, and things that are just kind of atrocious in the sense of, like, atrocities and things like that. So it's creepy.
Fair. My answer is The Hunger by Elma Katsu, which I just read for my book club and was like astonishingly creepy. Like, I would just say it's like terrifying, but that's not even it. It is creepy. There was a part of that book that made me say out loud in the middle of the night, "Ah, no, no."
For reference, this was while I was asleep.
I woke him up. I was freaked out. It was weird. It was scary. Like, I don't want to give away what it is because it would be spoilery, but I highly suggest this book. It's about the Donner Party, and it's an alternative history, and it is very, like, full of creeping dread and weird little moments of nope. Just nope. Next question.
Next question.
The next question is, what book gives you the best Halloween feels?
I think for this one I went with The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman.
Oh, I do like that book.
It's a good book. It's got kind of a spoopy feel with it being set in a graveyard, and most of the characters are ghosts, and and I don't read a lot of things that just have a really strong, like, Halloween-y vibe, so...
Yeah, I went with a children's book.
That's fair.
Because when I think of Halloween, I always think of this book, and that's The Big Pumpkin by Erica Silverman, I think is the author. I'd have to go grab it and see, but I believe I have it on the shelf somewhere. But, it is just about a witch who wants to make pumpkin pie and grows this really big pumpkin, and the colors are all like very dark blues, blacks, and purples, and bright, bright orange and like limey green. It has all of the right, like, kitschy kid Halloween, like, imagery and feeling to it. It's very cute and very sweet. I can't wait to read it to my kid. It's gonna be a good one.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember listening to, like, the audio book of it in class when I was a kid.
Ooh.
Like, and it was, like, sing-songy. Like, it was almost a song instead of a book. I don't know. But it sticks in my mind. When I think of Halloween, that is the book I think. The next question is, what book scared you so much you had to sleep with the light on?
I'm going to go with Nod by Adrian Barnes. I haven't actually even finished reading that book. I read a decent chunk of it in Barnes & Noble one time when we were at the, like, Starbucks in Barnes & Noble, and that's a really, like, upsetting book. And it's, like, sleep horror. The theme of the book is, like, sleep deprivation, I guess, and the basic premise of that book is that almost everyone in the entire world loses their ability to sleep at all.
Yeah, that would keep you up at night.
And the whole thing with, like, going through, like, the degradation of literally lose, and it's like a zombie apocalypse played out over the course of, like, a month or whatever, because I mean you can't live without sleep for much past 3 weeks or 4 weeks or something like that.
He, like, recently kicked that book off his TBR because he was like, I'm not gonna read it anytime soon because it's too scary.
Yeah, I'd have to reread the, like, first third of it, and I'm like, it was traumatic. If I just kept going with it, I'm gonna come back to it at some point. I know it just hasn't been long enough for me to.
It's not the right time.
Yeah.
Mine is a really like kitschy horror novel for teenagers called Spellbound by Christopher Pike. I barely remember the plot to this book, other than I think somebody was like attacked by a bear, or it seemed like they were attacked by a bear, but it turned out it might be something else. I don't know what it was about this book, though I did read it in the middle of the night, so that might have been part of it. I was scared out of my mind trying to read that and like literally could not go back to sleep. I didn't go to sleep until like 6 that morning. Stayed up all night with my lights on. I was very frightened. And it was like set in a small town, and it was just a scary book, especially considering where I grew up. I lived in like a little rural town, and it was all about like getting torn up by animals out in the wilderness. I don't know, it scared me. What is your favorite vampire book?
Carpe Jugulum by Terry Pratchett, which is in the like Witches sub-series, and it is literally about like a clan of vampires moving in, and I mean it's the most like vampire-y book that like I have read, that that is, I mean, like that is a book that I'm really into, that wasn't kind of like fringed my interests or something like that. And it's not especially scary or anything like that. It is very funny. I mean, it's Terry Pratchett. I don't think he's written anything that's not at least entertaining, if not outright like hilarious. But yeah. So what's your favorite vampire book?
It is probably Interview with the Vampire. That went weird. By Anne Rice. I really love that book, and I love the movie. I think of that book when I think of vampires. Like, it is the book that is, like, archetypically the way I think of vampires at this point. Though Tale of the Body Thief is my favorite in that series. It is kind of vampire-light. Though, close contender is Carmilla by Le Fanu is his last name. I cannot think of it. Paul Sheridan, maybe, is the first part, but Le Fanu. Well, it'll be in the doodly-doo. Awesome, like, classic lesbian vampire story. It's great. I really love it.
So what's our next question?
Our next question is, what is your favorite book about witches / goblins / ghosts / demons, etc.?
So I actually ended up going with The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss.
Ooh, that is good.
Which has, I mean, I'd argue has like demons and monsters and things of that nature.
It has monsters at the very least. And it definitely has like goblin-y type creatures, because it has fairy type creatures.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely fantasy that a lot of the creatures are kind of like just beneath the surface, but like, I mean, they're kind of out of view and not super prevalent, but they're there.
Mine was the Hollows series by Kim Harrison. I didn't pick a particular book, which is about a witch, a vampire, and a pixie who live in an old abandoned church with a gargoyle and a couple other random things. I really like the way that, as far as urban fantasies go, I really like the way that Kim Harrison did it. It was different, and I don't know exactly how to explain it, but while it's tropey, it doesn't follow a lot of the same tropes that many urban fantasy novels do. Like,
tropey, but it like subverts or inverts them, things like that.
Yeah, it just like changes them a little bit.
It plays with the tropes.
Yeah, it plays with them. And I really liked the way that, like, she incorporated things like gargoyles and demons. They were interestingly done. And I don't know. I would highly recommend those books. They're not, like, super talked about or anything, but they're really worth reading. Like, vampires are the purveyors of pizza in this world. It's kind of like kitschy, but also very fun. Okay, next question. What book do you wish was scarier?
I think I went with this with Metro 2033. So that's a book I read translated from the original Russian, and I mean, it's got a certain like creep factor to it, but I'm not sure whether it's the style or if it just like lost something in translation. It just sort of felt like it was kind of going for scary, at times, or like creepy, but it sort of didn't. And I think it was just kind of the like awkwardness of the language from it being translated kept it at like enough of a remove for you to keep you from like getting really immersed in what was, you know, the like the creepiness of certain scenes and stuff like that.
Because I think some of the best scenes in that book are the ones that are actually a little scary. Like, there's a couple of scenes near the beginning that are quite frightening, but it doesn't pan out through the book. My answer is literally every Anita Blake book post Obsidian Butterfly. And if you're a fan of those books, you'll know exactly what I mean. But the early Anita Blake books, many of them are very, very scary. Laughing Corpse is terrifying. Obsidian Butterfly is terrifying. I think Bloody Bones is quite scary. But after that, things got a little bit, like, orgy heavy. Not exactly my thing. I think we're on to the last question.
Yeah, I think we are.
Which is, what is your favorite book that takes place in October? I don't like this question.
Yeah, I found this one super challenging because I was like, how many books have I read that are set in October? So I decided to expand it out to books that, you know, have October in them at all. And then I went with the most, like, intensely Halloween-y bit that I could remember. So I picked Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Staff.
Oh. I was going to say, in part because, you know, I mean, that's just, like, that is a little bit of a, like, scary book at parts. But specifically what I'm thinking of is the Death Day Party for Nearly Headless Nick. Because that is the most, like, intensely Halloween thing that I have ever read.
That is fair. I could not remember what books of Harry Potter actually included parts from Halloween, because, like, some of them mention Halloween and some of them don't, I feel like.
Or they, like, mention it very
like, they all
passing or
mention,
something.
like, Christmas to some degree. And Harry Potter is, like, my Christmas book. Like, those books scream Christmas to me. But,
I actually got the first Harry Potter book as a Christmas present.
oh, that's nice. I think we've talked about that before.
Or maybe a birthday present, but my birthday's really near
It
Christmas,
is,
so...
yeah. But, yeah, I remember in the first one that Halloween is when the troll got loose in the dungeon. So I knew for a fact that that was a book that had October
I
in
think
it.
I think in most of the...
And
like,
I think in Anne of Green Gables they mention October, but literally those are the only two books that I'm positive mention October in them. Point being,
Yeah.
I didn't like this question, so I defaulted to Harry Potter. And that is it. We don't really do tags, but if you liked doing this, or if you liked this video, you should do it.
and definitely,
Totally
like,
do it and tag
comment on us, so yeah.
We will
we can-
come watch your video and like it and comment.
Yes. So, I mean, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Leave us a comment. We'd love to hear your answers to any of these questions, even if you don't feel like doing a
Recommend
full
me
video.
some scary books.
Yeah, you know, I honestly, like, some good Halloween, especially, like, I mean, not even necessarily adult, but not, like, you know, children's board book type books I'd be interested in. I'm not saying I'll read them, but I'd at least enjoy hearing about them. So leave us a comment. And if you want to see more from us, hit subscribe. Our links to everything we talked about are down in the doodly-doo, along with our Goodreads and social media and all that. And we'll see you guys again next time.